and welcome to the MRF Challenge, coming to you from Chennai for the third and final round of the season. We are on to race 3 of 5, and David Addison, the championship is certainly hotting up.
We have a new championship leader because yesterday Jamie Chadwick won the semi-reverse grid race, and Max Deforney, who came here as championship leader, had a pretty average day. The consolation in that race was that he gained a place late race after Jack Doohan had an off, but he got 2 points for the fastest lap. But it means Jamie Chadwick now leads by 1 point with 3 races to go. And
she has the advantage with grid position for this race.
Yep, she's 4th on the grid, ahead of Max Deforney, who just can't get the gearing right around here, and he knows that today's a critical day. He can't think about banking points anymore because he's behind. He's got to attack and he's got to score like he's never scored before.
Okay, well, you need to make your way to the commentary booth.
Indeed.
And I'm going to go down the grid, so I'll speak to you shortly.
Enjoy.
Thank you. So we are going to go, I'm going to go straight and speak to Jamie Chadwick, actually. Car 55, she's starting P4, as David said. Let's see what she has to say. So this grid is determined by their second fastest lap in qualifying. Jamie, final moments before this next race. You've got the championship lead here, so you feeling confident with this?
Yeah, still confident. Obviously off 4th now in this race. There's 3 races today, so a lot to gain and a lot to lose. So I think we're going to keep each race as they come, and yeah, we'll see where we end up.
These grid positions determined by second fastest lap in qualifying, so you've got fast guys ahead of you as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think this race is also going to be important for the fastest lap in this race, for the last race as well. So there's a lot to play for in this race, and hopefully if we can get a good start like yesterday, we can get some more points.
Okay, sorry. Look forward to seeing what Jamie can do there, and making my way to car 8, Michelangelo Amendola. I'm going to go around the other side because that umbrella is disguising him. Hello under there. Bit hot?
Yeah, it's okay, it's okay.
Thoughts going into this race? You've been doing well so far.
Yeah, not bad. We have a good pace, so we should see what this race can bring us, a podium, and we're doing our best. Lick the stamp and send it.
Okay, well, he's going to lick the stamp and hopefully get on the podium. In P2, we have Linus Lundqvist. Again, I'm going to go around this side to speak to Linus. He's been putting in good times, but not being able to quite get it together during the races.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yesterday, pace has always been good, but just didn't quite manage to get everything under control, especially the first race with the start. So target will be to do a better start this time.
And you're in a good position to do that with this race. So do you think it's more a case that you can now control it?
I mean, I'll try to. I think we definitely have the pace for it. Now it's just about getting off the line, which is pretty tricky. But I'm going to do my best, and we'll see where I end up in 20 laps.
All right, thanks, Linus. And finally, I'll go and speak to our pole man, Patrick Pasma. Now, he's a man of few words, but thoughts going into this race?
Well, I think it's going to be a good race. Yeah.
It's going to be all about defending for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I think good start, and then just have to do some good laps to get the gap.
Okay, so that's what Patrick's goal is, to make a bigger gap from the guys behind him. David Addison, it's over to you in the commentary booth.
It's time to go racing then, because round 3 of this weekend's 5 MRF Challenge 2-litre races is set to get underway. And this, as we've been saying on the grid, is going to be a crucial one as far as Max Deforney is concerned. He has got to score well in this. He's got to try and outscore Jamie Chadwick if at all possible. But it's easier said than done, because Jamie, as you've gathered from the way that Louise was up and down the grid, starts 4th, and Max Deforney is 7th. So yet again, he has got work to do. And also, bear in mind that the results of this race form the grid for race 4, but with the top 6 reversed. So it is absolutely crucial that Deforney gains 1 place, because if he can get himself on the front row for the 4th race, fantastic. He's got a golden chance of a race win. But if he's 7th, like now, he's got cars all around him, he's mired in jeopardy, and he's not going to be able to get himself through that traffic. So he has got to try and gain at least 1 place, even if this race becomes a write-off, and work forward to race 4. That'll be something. But finish 7th, you're not going to do anything at all. So the pressure is on De Forna here. I've just seen him before the drivers were getting into the cars, talking to the engineers, looking at the data. He's been struggling a little bit this weekend with the correct gearing, but he has had another think about it, gone away and trying to make sure that everything is good for this race. He's also, with all due respect to him, one of the heavier drivers, believe it or not, and therefore, because the championship regulations have a weight which includes the driver, then he's at a slight disadvantage in that respect anyway, because he's one of the heavier. But that's not to say that that's the reason he's not winning around here, because he's already had victories this season in the races in Dubai, and he had 2 there and 1 in Bahrain. So you could argue that, the gearing issue aside, a mark of a good driver is somebody that can jump into any circuit and deliver. But here it's taking him a bit longer than others to get familiar with it. It is a quirky circuit, but it's a very challenging circuit, and that's why it's a great end to this MRF challenge, because they come here and you start to see who the star drivers are by dint of how quickly they can adapt. Jamie Chadwick, the 1-point championship leader. Andreas Essner is 3rd. Patrick Pasma is now in 4th, ahead of Michelangelo Amendola. Daniel Frost isn't here, so he's in jeopardy of losing a place to Dylan Young, who's already got himself ahead of another absentee, Petr Potacek. Sebastian Essner had a spin yesterday, so did Josh Mason. They are next in that points table. We're good to go racing then, as the cars are on the grid. You get 5 sets of tyres for the weekend, and that's for free practice, 2 sessions, 1 qualifying and 5 races. So how you use them rather depends on, yes, you need a good set, maybe 2 sets for qualifying, because this grid is based on your 2nd best qualifying time. But then if you're at the rear of the grid, or in a less advantageous grid position, do you use an old set, or 2 used and 2 new? And keep a fresh set for maybe if you're at the front on a reverse grid in the next race. Interesting to see how the teams and how the drivers work to get the best out of this. The 30-second board is displayed. The cars will be released in a moment to get them around the circuit, and then to form back up on the grid in anticipation of this 3rd race of the weekend. Patrick Pasma was the man that won the first, and as he starts on pole position for this, you can anticipate that he might well be the winner again. He's got Linus Lundqvist, though, with him at the front of the grid. It's a very Scandinavian front, the Finn and the Swede. Linus Lundqvist was the quickest in both of the free practice sessions on Friday, but didn't get it hooked up properly in qualifying, and then made a mistake off the grid, bogged down, and was last away into the first corner in race 1. He made a mistake in race 2 and ran off the road. So actually, Lundqvist's star has waned just a little. It's going to be interesting to see what he does now. As you look down on the Madras Motor Race track, pit straight nearest to you, they wriggle their way out to the back part past the Madras Motorsports Club building. You see the little cut through that links the turn 3 exit to the turn 9 exit to make a shorter lap, and then the cars will sprint back down. There is the cut through, in fact, just in the background of the shot, towards the 10-11 sequence that brings them towards the completion of a flying lap. It's a great circuit, this, and the Madras Motorsports Club that owns the Madras Motor Race track has put a huge amount of effort and resource into it, making it more modern, putting in permanent structures, and it is now a very impressive facility indeed for motorsport here. But it's still got that heritage, it's still got its charms. It's not been lost like 1 or 2 of the ultra-modern purpose-built circuits of the modern age could be accused of being. And if you go back a good few years to 1976, the first foundation stone was laid here by one Jackie Stewart. So it is, as I say, a place with lots of heritage. So the cars come down now towards the completion of this formation lap. Jamie Chadwick, race winner, remember, in BRDC British F3, member of the BRDC's Rising Stars programme as well, in fact, to nurture young British talent. She will head to the grid and line up at 4th, but Patrick Pasma is already in place then. The Finn, another graduate of British racing, because he's done a couple of seasons in British F4. Linus Lundqvist from F4 to F3 in the UK. Michelangelo Amendola, there's a British link there because the Belgian did drive in the Walter Hayes Trophy for Formula Ford 1600 cars a couple of years ago. Jamie Chadwick, British driver, is 4th on the grid. Jack Doohan is 5th, British F4 racer of this season. And then Andreas Essner, German driver, 6th, ahead of Max de Forny. Then it's Dylan Young, the Australian, 2nd yesterday in the 2nd race. The Indian Chetan Karada is next, ahead of Sebastian Essner. Valdemar Eriksson comes next from another newcomer, Glenn Van Berlo, Josh Mason, and the Saudi Arabian lady Rima Al-Jafali complete the grid. It's race 3 of 5, it's 20 laps, and it is go. Good start made by Pasma. He gets away better than does Lundqvist. Jamie Chadwick gets a good start as well, but the door is closed. And have a look on the outside line, because the red car of Amendola will sweep round the outside of Lundqvist, and he goes second as they come out of turn 1. Where is De Forney? He's hung out to dry on the outside line. Can he gain ground up towards turn 2 now? The leader is Patrick Pasma, who's away like a stabbed rat. He leads the pack. Second, it's Michelangelo Amendola then, and down to third is Linus Lundqvist, and Jamie Chadwick has lost ground, I think, and has got De Forney on her tail as they come now up towards the S's for the first time. 20-lap race. They wriggle their way through the left and right short straight, then stand on the brakes, go sharp left into turn 4. Pasma getting away. Jamie Chadwick there has got De Forney right up behind. This is crucial for championship position, remember. So De Forney on the back of the championship leader now. Jamie won the second race, the reverse grid race yesterday, her 4th of the season. It's 4-3 in terms of race wins, and that could be crucial if we go to what happened 2 years ago with a tie break. Then it was Harry Newey and Joey Mawson. Here, the battle is on between, for the championship, Jamie Chadwick and Max De Forney, and the gap has widened a little as they come out of turn 7 down the short straight. Turn right at 8 and left at 9 and flick down towards the completion of lap number 1. But the leader getting away is Patrick Pasma. If he wins, if he gets fastest lap, that's more points taken away from these two. Chadwick, then De Forney, and look how the gap has opened up over the last half of this lap, and now De Forney has got a right LQ behind him. Dylan Young is there, and then it's Jack Doohan, son of Mick Doohan. The motorcycle world champion is at the end of the lap number 1. Through will come Patrick Pasma now over the timing line. In second place is then Michelangelo Amendola, and third is Linus Lundqvist. Now Linus has not done the whole championship, it's his first weekend in these cars, but he's showing his pace nonetheless. Andreas Essner goes 4th ahead of Jamie Chadwick, and then there is already a 1.7 second margin between Chadwick and De Forney, and they were nose to tail at turn 4. Replay of the start. De Forney makes a decent enough getaway, although Dylan Young tries to get up the inside. Jamie Chadwick made a good start, but then got boxed into the traffic, so lost out a little bit, and Andreas Essner up on the inside line. But at the end of that opening lap, very definitely the race-leading car, that of Patrick Pasma, by 7/10 of a second. But Michelangelo Amendola is quicker in the first sector by a whopping 2 1/1000ths of a second. There he is. Lundqvist third. 4th is Essner. There's Jamie Chadwick 5th. Look at the gap again over De Forney. A lap and a half done, and look how far back De Forney has fallen already. And he won't need to be reminded of it, and he won't be thankful of being reminded of it either, but he's struggling. There's no argument about it, and he knows today he's got to deliver. So the pendulum swings ever further in favour of Jamie Chadwick. We had Jack Doohan about to make a move, I think, up on the inside I saw a moment ago. Has he managed to stay ahead of Dylan Young? Yes, he has. So the two Australians go wheel to wheel in the no worries battle, but the leaders come up towards turn 11, and Patrick Pasma getting away. Michelangelo Amendola fell back in the third sector, and that now means he's got Linus Lundqvist on his tail. Through comes Jamie Chadwick next there, chasing after Andreas Essner. So 5th is Chadwick, and Max De Forney goes through in 6th, and the margin between them now is very nearly 3 seconds. So De Forney is again struggling. Now Jamie Chadwick is unlikely to be caught, I would offer, unless she gets stuck behind one of those cars. If she catches the traffic, then she might get caught, and that could give De Forney the chance to close a little bit. But on pure pace alone at the moment, it doesn't look like it's likely. Although quirkily, De Forney yesterday did do the fastest lap of the race, and it came later in the race. So maybe De Forney is a slow burner, and we'll see after a few laps when the car is lighter on fuel, when the tyres have bedded in, that he can push harder and he can bring down that gap. Yesterday, he got 6th right at the very end after Linus Lundqvist had been off the road early, and then Jack Doohan had a late race moment. But here, Max De Forney 6th, chasing after Jamie Chadwick and not staying close enough. If anything, he's being caught by Jack Doohan, who's taken a 10th out of him in the first sector alone. So through they turn now, out of turn 9, down the short straight. And there's the race leader, Patrick Pasma. So talk about championship, talk about the race, and fastest lap to Andreas Essner. So that's 2 points heading his way. Essner involved in the battle for third place with Patrick Pasma on points as well. So there's that to factor into the equation this weekend too. Up towards the completion of the lap, then they will come. And as they go by, Patrick Pasma puts 3 in the book, and the advantage that he's now got is 0.954 of a second. starting lap 4 now, down through turn 1. There is Jamie Chadwick going through the shot. There is the man chasing her for the championship, Max de Forney, but he's not closing in the race, although on that last lap he did do an absolute best sector and the fastest lap of the race done by Jamie Chadwick. So another 2 points go Jamie's way, so she's outscoring by position and outscoring by pace. The 2 points for the fastest lap now heading her way. Patrick Pasma up front, still leads the pack. The gap 0.954 of a second, and now Pasma pushing on because he has just gone quicker than anybody within the first sector of the lap. Michelangelo Amendola is in second place. In third is Linus Lundqvist. In fourth is Andreas Essner. Jamie Chadwick fifth. De Forney sixth. Doohan is seventh. Young is eighth. Ninth is Valdemar Eriksson. And Glenn van Berlo is now 10th at the expense of Sebastian Essner. Chetan Corrada is in 12th. 13th is Josh Mason. And Rima Al-Jafali is 14th. As you look at the leaders, all in a line, coming down now towards turn 8. What about De Forney relative to Chadwick? De Forney has just taken 3/10 out in the first sector alone. So again, come back to what I said earlier about the driver being a slow burn. Now on lap number 4, he is starting to attack. Time lost early on, but now De Forney perhaps into a rhythm, getting on with it. But can he afford to be that kind of a driver? Everybody else seems to be able to be on the money right from the get-go. Out of turn 11 they come. Patrick Pasma, though, he's already over the timing line. There he is. The Flying Finn leads the race by now 11/10. In second is Amendola, third is Lundqvist, and fourth is Essner. Jamie Chadwick through in fifth place. Sixth is De Forney, and he, on that lap, was slightly quicker. The gap has come down a little, but the best lap of the race is taken by Patrick Pasma. So Pasma, the leader, with now the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap, seemingly, unless anybody else can go quicker, and we've got 16 laps in which to do it. It's another fascinating race, this, as you look at these elasticated gaps stretching and being reduced at the next part of the circuit, depending on how the traffic is, depending also whether a driver makes a tiny mistake, because that's all it takes. Thump a curb or go slightly wide off apex, and suddenly you lose chunks of time. Lundqvist, Essner, third, fourth. Jamie Chadwick, a lonely fifth. Now, is she catching those ahead? The answer is yes, slightly. 10th quicker than Essner within the first sector of the lap there. Down they come into turn 8. Look in the background, you've got Max de Forney, and he is again quicker than Jamie Chadwick in the first sector. So he's pushing on as best he can, and he knows he's got to do it. Linus Lundqvist running a little bit wide, coming out there from turn 9. And Max de Forney pushing as they drop down towards the right-hander here at turn number 10. So Jamie Chadwick was being caught in sector 1, but she's pulled away in sector 2. So again, ebbing and flowing that gap. A safety car would, of course, bunch them all up. That would be a lifeline to De Forney, but at the moment, there's no suggestion that we're going to have that. No incidents. Everybody's still circulating, which is good. And you often find that as the race weekend wears on here, mistakes are fewer because they're getting more seat time, more familiar with car and circuit. For the lead, though, Amendola, who did the absolute best first sector last time, has brought the gap down. It was 11/10, it's now 0.8 of a second. Amendola has never had a win in these cars. He had a career best second yesterday. Now let's see what he can do here. So through they turn, round the back of the circuit, out of turn 5. There will be Lapri to factor in because Rima Al-Jafali has just gone across the line. Rima, who's a very, very recent addition to motor racing. As I was saying over the course of the weekend, Saudi Arabian ladies with road car licenses are pretty rare, never mind a race license. She was a winner in the TRD GT86 Cup in Abu Dhabi at the back end of last year, but a single-seater around here is a very different proposition. She was off the road a couple of times on Friday, but she's been error-free pretty much since. Rima Al-Jafali at the back of the pack as Jamie Chadwick there is charging on still in 5th place. What about sector times relative to De Forney? She's getting away again. 4/10 quicker in sector 1, a 10th quicker in sector 2, so she's gapped him by half a second even before the end of the lap. Jamie could well make history here by being the first female winner of the MRF Challenge, and international single-seater championships with female champions are also, it's got to be said, very rare indeed. So this could be a huge marketing success for MRF, never mind for Jamie and for her career. There goes Jack Doohan. So Jamie Chadwick, who came out of Ginetta Junior Racing into British GT, won the GT4 class for the Beechdean team in 2016, and then spent a couple more years racing GT cars before coming into single-seaters in 2017. She has driven in the BRDC British F3 Championship. And Jamie, as she was saying to Louise on the grid, concentrating now on pushing for lap times, because your fastest lap time of any race gets you your grid position for race 5. So the quicker you go, then the further up the grid you are likely to be. So Patrick Pasma and Max Deforney are those with fastest race laps of anybody thus far. Jamie Chadwick would like a fastest lap. There's the 2 points, but also that potential pole position if it's the best of anybody of the weekend. So there she is. Trouble is that as she pushes, she's in danger of getting into the dirty air, so it might go against her. Not necessarily suggesting that Deforney is lagging back, so he's got clear track space to go for the fastest lap, but it could be part of his game plan. Arun Mammon, the vice chairman and managing director of MRF, looks on. Great enthusiast, great supporter of racing. And he is omnipresent. He's been here all weekend, and the yellow flags are waving, and the safety car is being deployed. Now this is going to really be, for some, an absolute godsend. The safety car is deployed. Now, for why? There's the answer. There's a car facing the wrong way. That's Josh Mason, is it not, at turn 2? And so safety car is deployed. Everybody will bunch up. Safety car there has not yet been released onto the road. I think they're going to get everybody slowed down, then release it, and it will scoop them all up. But Josh Mason, it looks to be, facing the wrong way. And suddenly Max Deforney, of course, will be able to close to the tail of the traffic ahead. So Josh is okay. He's out of the car. Had a spin in race 1, did a bit of suspension damage, but the schoolboy, racing is limited in 2019 because he's got his GCSEs to do, school exams. Looks on as the safety car now enters the circuit, and everybody should bunch up behind it as they get towards the incident zone. So Max Deforney here has got to be on his toes on the restart. He has got really 2 chances, turn 1, turn 2. After that, the gaps will start to open up again as people pull away, because it's hard to overtake, and he knows that he needs to make full advantage of that, so you can anticipate him being on the back of Jamie Chadwick's car to try and gain places. There's also, of course, that adage of safety cars breed safety cars, and so with everybody bunched up on their toes for the restart, are we going to have any more tangles, any more dramas? Let's see. We had a very lively 1300cc single-seater race yesterday morning that had 2 safety cars, and then another accident late race, and it was red flagged. The 2-litre drivers, you could argue more professional drivers, have not been at that stage, of course, but we have had the occasional car off the road, and now the safety car brings the pack over the timing line. So there is Jamie Chadwick. The race order: Patrick Pasma, the leader. Second is Michelangelo Amendola, and third is Linus Lundqvist. Andreas Essner is 4th, 5th Jamie Chadwick, 6th Max Deforney, 7th is Jack Doohan, 8th is Dylan Young, 9th Valdemar Eriksson, 10th Glenn Van Berlo, 11th is Sebastian Essner, 12th Chetan Corrada, 13th is Rima Al Jafali, and out is Josh Mason. So we have done now 8 laps. There is Josh Mason's car off the circuit. Josh will have to go and have a word with his engineers and his mum and dad as well, who are here, as indeed many parents are, because you kind of forget that these are young teenage racing drivers. Mum and dad ever so supportive of their charges up and down the pit lane. The Lundqvist family here, for example, and the Australian Dylan Young here with his dad. The Van Berlo family here to support the Michelangelos, the Lundqvists, the Erikssons. It's a real family affair. There, Arun Mammon looks on, and we'll see this grid full of MRF shod single-seaters work past him. And long may this championship continue. It's a remarkable entry when you consider that you've got, if you just look down the race positions, Finland ahead of Belgium, ahead of Sweden, ahead of Germany, Britain, Belgium, Australia, then Denmark, the Netherlands, Germany, India, Saudi Arabia and Britain. Truly an international lineup. And although there are alternative winter single-seater series, this has a very established track record, and over the years, certainly 2 years ago when it was a 3-way shootout between Harry Newey, Joey Mawson and Mick Schumacher, and Harrison Newby was the champion, has given some outstanding racing. Still, perhaps in Europe, it's not given quite the importance and credibility it deserves, and it's a shame because it really is an excellent training ground, and the amount of track time that the drivers get is great value for money. 2 free practice sessions, 1 qualifying, and 5 races. There's a lot goes on in a weekend, plus if you want a bit of testing as well. So there is Josh Mason having a word with the marshals about whether the car is going to be returned to the pits or whether it's going to stay there. Wait and see now what the plan is, whether there'll be a snatch vehicle to hoik it out of the way or whether we will have it left there and go quickly back to racing. So through they turn, lights flash atop the safety car. When the lights go out, of course, that's the indication that it will peel in, and the officials in race control will be looking at the pictures. They'll be talking to marshals on radio and saying, is the car safe? Is it off the racing line? Is it out of harm's way? Can we go, or do we need another lap? Well, we're going to need another lap. Yellow flag still wave. Safety car comes over the line. And of course, you can't overtake while the safety car is on track. It keeps the race going, albeit under controlled conditions. They wriggle their way now, weaving left and right down towards turn 1. Engineers spot themselves on the TV. Many of them, of course, come from single-seater or GT or touring car teams in the UK. Bit of winter work, bit of winter sun. And although there are long days, it's a championship that they all enjoy working in. The technical delegate for the series, Anthony Hyatt, Boyo, the man behind Double R Racing. So Boyo has a hand, I think, in not only bringing engineers but drivers as well. And he's worked very hard to get the grid up for this weekend. Of course, Linus Lundqvist was British F3 champion for Boyo's Double R team in 2018. And he's one of the newcomers for this weekend. Lee Deegan looking on from the pit bunker there, winner in the 1600 challenge. Josh Mason's dad, alongside Amendola Senior, looking on. Amendola second, Josh Mason a spectator as well now, sadly. So the safety car staying out. This, of course, slows the general pace of the race as the cars will shortly come up towards the completion of lap 10. Half the race remaining, and after this, of course, still 2 more to go. The 2-litre cars back on track at 10 minutes past 1, and it's now 10:30 local time, and then they race again at 10 minutes past 4 at the end of the afternoon. So the car of Josh Mason is being cradled out of the way, but I think we're still going to have another lap, aren't we, of the safety car. So they come down towards turn 9 now. Sorry, turn 8, I should say. There's Sebastian Essner in number 10. Sebastian, the younger of the 2 Essner brothers, and not as quick. He's the 16-year-old as opposed to his 18-year-old elder brother, former karter. There's Jamie Chadwick in the pink and white car, the 2015 British GT4 class winner. Max Deforny behind, the 20-year-old Belgian. Second-generation racer. Dad was a very handy GT and Formula 3000 driver, Didier Deforny. Also the promoter for a time of the Belgian Grand Prix. And Deforny, double winner in Dubai, 1 win in Bahrain. And yesterday had his worst result of the year in race 1, 7th and a 6th so far here. But let's see what he can get out of this race. He's 6th at the moment, but needs to make a move as the safety car comes through once again. So over the timing line they come. Another lap ticked off. And Patrick Pasma it is who leads the way. The fastest lap is also still claimed by Pasma. And Josh Mason's car, interestingly, rather than going into the pits, has gone across the circuit and will sit on the outside on the runoff area at turn 1, hopefully out of harm's way. So that should mean that we are not far off getting the race back underway. It's not just a case, of course, of getting the stranded car moved. You've also then got to get that snatch vehicle off the track into a place of safety as well. Out of the S's they sweep. Jamie Chadwick, the 20-year-old, and with a good pedigree of late in single-seater racing. Now with 4 wins in the MRF Challenge, along with victory in the BRDC F3 Championship at Brands Hatch. It was a reverse grid race, and in fairness, she was not the first across the line. The car ahead had a jump start penalty, but Jamie Chadwick took the win, and there was an awful lot of attention surrounding that first female winner of a British Formula 3 round. There, the lights off on top of the safety car, so we're going to be good to go racing. But if there was attention around Jamie winning a race, if she wins this championship, then it's going to be very good for profile, very good for career prospects. Down she comes then with Max Deforney on her tail. Is he going to be able on the restart to make a move? He has got to pounce. There's the lap board for Patrick Pasma. That will say that there are going to be 9 to go, and he's P1. Aaron Mammon checks the live timing. Safety car in this lap, and Linus Lundqvist doesn't, unlike the others, weave about. He's, I think, already focused on the restart. Now, once Patrick Pasma accelerates, you've got to keep on accelerating. You can't go and slow. Max Deforney will want to be right with Jamie Chadwick, ready to make the move down towards turn 1. You can't overtake until you get to the timing line as Pasma goes. And is Deforney close enough? No, look, he's about 3 lengths back. He's squandered the opportunity on the restart. Patrick Pasma accelerates clear, and Deforney comes over the line yet again. 9/10 back from Jamie Chadwick. Wasn't hooked up. Jamie has gone. So that's turn 1. This is turn 2. Any chance of gaining a place there? Absolutely lost. Up through the right-hander at turn 2 they go. Deforney has got now Jack Doohan up behind him, who was a little bit better on his toes. Dylan Young comes next ahead of a brake-locking Valdemar Eriksson. But out of turn 3 they go then. This is lap 12 of 20. Patrick Pasma it is who leads the way. And Deforney now has got to really push and try and get back onto terms. As for second place, Lundqvist has a cheeky look to the inside of Michelangelo Amendola. He can't find a way by, but he's trying to apply the pressure here on the Belgian. Second yesterday was Michelangelo, as a career best in this championship. What can Lundqvist do? He's running higher than he has all weekend, of course, heading for a maiden podium, but the British F3 title winner comes out of turn 5 now, with behind him Andreas Essner, and then is it still Jamie Chadwick in 5th place? Yes, it is. Deforney's closing up a little bit in 6th, and he's got to keep on closing as they come down now towards the 8-9 sequence of corners. There's Deforney, he's got Jack Doohan behind him. Deforney was slightly better in that first sector, but it's all going to unravel now if he's got to go defensive. Jack Doohan is on his tail. Yesterday, Doohan went off the road, and that gifted Deforney a place. Right now, he's got the Australian driver crawling all over the back of him. Deforney goes wide at turn 11. Jack Doohan is up the inside. This is great news for Jamie Chadwick. Jack Doohan goes through, takes the place. Max Deforney loses rather than gains on the restart. So, over the line, Jamie Chadwick runs in 5th. Max Deforney is down to 7th. It could become 8th here. He's trying to defend from Dylan Young as they go through turn 1. But an error at turn 11, which is also where, for example, Linus Lundqvist made a mistake yesterday, puts Deforney on the wrong line, costs him momentum and loses him a place. Jack Doohan goes through, and Jamie Chadwick, who again is looking so strong and solid up front there, in currently 5th place, banking the points, not putting a wheel out of line. And she did this yesterday when there was a lot of pressure being applied for the race lead, which became the race win on that reverse grid race. Looking very good for the championship now, especially if not only does she have good pace, but Deforney keeps making little mistakes and can't attack like this. There's Doohan, he's ahead, he's pulling away slightly. So Max Deforney down to 7th. Came here as the championship leader, 18 points ahead. It went down to 14 points and then changed to a 1-point advantage to Jamie Chadwick going into this race, and it's going to grow again as they're running out wide over the dirt. was the car of Michelangelo Amendola. De Forny then staring at the back of Jack Doohan, and that is going to affect him psychologically because fewer races but more points now lost. Pasma down towards turn 12. Could Lundqvist here have a go at getting himself up past Amendola? That gap to the eye looks a little bit less. They come across the timing line now, and the margin between the Belgian and the Swedish driver is yet to be revealed because Lundqvist's transponder has not worked that time, Murphy's Law. But to the eye, definitely they are getting closer to one another. So it's Pasma, Amendola, Lundqvist, then Esner, Chadwick, Doohan and De Forny. Then as Lundqvist comes out of turn 3, and if they start to bunch up, could Jamie Chadwick get a bit closer to the back of Andreas Esner? She's 8/10 back for the moment. If a driver feels that they don't have the pace to gain position or are stuck in the dirty air, what they might do is drop back a little bit out of the draft, and then, if the tyres permit, go for a couple of quick laps and see whether they can do the fastest lap of the race, and therefore think about grid position for race 5, which is based on a driver's best lap time out of any of the previous 4 races. And right now, Patrick Pasma has the fastest lap out of this and also out of race 1. Max De Forny was the quickest driver in race 2, even though he was only in 6th place. There's Lundqvist, lap 14 here. And a replay of the incident. Max De Forny delayed coming out of turn 11, and wheel to wheel, Jack Doohan dives up the inside into turn 12, goes through. The race leaders notch off 14 laps with 0.692 of a second between Pasma and Amendola. Lundqvist is 3rd, and Lundqvist has just done the fastest lap of the race. Linus Lundqvist then, a 1:30.355, goes quicker than anybody. But perversely, he's not as close to Amendola, and I suspect again he's dropped back into the clean air, does that fastest lap, seeing whether he can get himself on the front row of the grid for race 5. In 4th place is Andreas Esner. Jamie Chadwick is next, and then it's Doohan between her and De Forny. Young 8th. 9th is Glenn Van Berlo, younger brother of Kay Van Berlo, sports car prodigy in recent seasons, and 10th Sebastian Esner, whose brother there is up 4th place, Andreas. So on lap number 15 out of 20 in this 3rd of 5 races of the MRF Challenge, out of turn 6 goes Linus Lundqvist. Fastest lap of the race he has now done. And for the race lead, again, to the eye, the gap a little bit less. Amendola, quicker last time around, it's down to 0.692 of a second. He's quicker in sector 1 as well. So the Belgian driver, who is very, very keen to get a win. And actually, you can see the way that he has developed in his 2 seasons in this championship. He's right there pitching for honours against Pasma. Patrick was unlucky both in Dubai and Bahrain because there was a race at each venue where he didn't score at all, didn't finish at all. And so that's hurt him in the championship. 8th, 6th, a win and a 4th in Dubai, a 7th, a 4th, a 3rd, a 4th in Bahrain. But as I say, at each venue, one race where there's no result, so that affects him in terms of points. On the pace he's shown here, and he's adapted to the track very, very effectively, had he been able to score in those other 2 races, I think he'd be a threat for championship honours. Engineers study the data as the leaders battle through, the gap down to half a second between the top 2 last time. So Patrick Pasma it is, still leading the pack, and Jamie Chadwick is getting closer to Andreas Esner now. Through turn 5 comes Michelangelo Amendola. And the young Belgian driver sprints up towards turn 6 with a margin that has extended against Patrick Pasma now. So Pasma is a 10th further away. That gap has widened as they come up through the left-hander onto turn 8. So Pasma looking as though this could be win number 2 of the weekend, win number 3 of the season. Linus Lundqvist pushes on. And there, Esner to Chadwick, that gap was fractionally up, in fact, in the first sector, and 0.3 it grew by in sector 2. So maybe Jamie Chadwick is having to settle for 5th, and if she drops back a little bit and then can push, might be able to think about the fastest lap of the race. So through turns Max de Forny. Pasma the race leader then, and Andreas Essner in his efforts now to latch onto the tail of Lundqvist or shake off Jamie Chadwick has done an absolute best final sector. Max de Forny still frustrated as he sits behind Jack Doohan. You can see the points and the championship ebbing away. So down they come, all of these Dallara chassis. They're a Formula 3 car, effectively, with these Ford Mountune Duratec engines, 230 brake horsepower. They have 16-valve four-cylinder engines, the 6-speed sequential paddle shift gearboxes, and of course MRF tyres on which everybody runs, with 5 different winners over the course of this year's season. 580 kilos is the weight. That includes the driver. So there, if you're heavy like Max de Forny, you see instantly where the disadvantage comes. The leaders go by, and the gap down to 0.457 of a second with 3 laps to go. There, look, Amendola is having another push. Third still is Lundqvist, Essner fourth, Chadwick fifth, Jack Doohan runs sixth ahead of de Forny, Young, Ericsson and Van Barlo. Glenn Van Barlo in 10th place, who's just got on with the job this weekend. Just learnt about life in these cars and this circuit. He's done precious little car racing apart from racing a Porsche in the 24-hour series. Okay, track time available, but limited experience, and getting quicker each time out. Patrick Pasma, though, controlling the pace up front on this lap number 18 of 20 here at the MMRT, the Madras Motor Race Track. The gap comes down as Michelangelo Amendola tries to brake a little bit later, coming into turn 8 there. Max de Forny doing likewise, braking late against Jack Doohan, trying to close onto the tail of the Australian and see if he can wriggle back ahead of him and salvage something out of this race, at least to get back to where he was, because that will give away fewer points than he's losing at the moment to Jamie Chadwick. So at the moment, Jamie for 5th place would get 10 against Max de Forny's 6 that he would get for 7th place. So a 5-point gap Jamie Chadwick would have going into the next round of the championship. 2 more races to go after this. It's going to be close, but Jamie has the upper hand and isn't making mistakes, not letting the pressure get to her. There is Doohan. Now actually Doohan is not that far adrift now of Jamie Chadwick, is he, as they go through? Just looking at the gap to the eye, that seems to have come down slightly. We've only got 2 more laps to go, but Doohan, maybe because he's being spurred on here by Max de Forny, is looking a little bit nearer to the back of the British driver. It was 1 second when they came across the line, and then it's 7/10ths de Forny back from Jack Doohan. So Chadwick up to turn 6, and up front Patrick Pasma still leads the way, fractionally quicker within the first sector. There's 1 more lap to run, remember, at the end of this, and the gap, I don't think he's coming down enough to really present Amendola with a chance. For 3rd place, Linus Lundqvist turns through. Lundqvist not fighting for the championship, not thinking about points. He's got nothing to lose, really. He's here for pride. He's here to keep himself sharp. He would like a win, just to say, dropped in, won, dropped out again. Equally, though, he's mindful that he doesn't want to affect anybody's championship aspirations. So as they come through, Linus Lundqvist now drops towards turn 12, where Patrick Pasma will turn and put the car onto the pit straight and start his last lap of this 3rd of 5 races. The leaders go by, and to start the last lap, the gap is half a second between Pasma and Amendola, and 1 second covering the top 3. It does seem, in a few battles, to be bunching up late race. What about Chadwick to Doohan? That's stretched again, I reckon. Yeah, 1.2 seconds. It's gone up. So Jack Doohan just drops away slightly later in the race. Turn out of the S's now, on towards the turn 4 left-hander. But again, with drivers having to think about points, thinking about lap times for grid positions, nobody's going to do anything overly bold, I wouldn't have thought here. Jamie Chadwick looking strong for that 5th place and Max Deforny for 7th. Not sure if you went and talked to him after this race, you'd have much of a conversation. He will be very frustrated indeed, because it's been the story of the weekend, him versus Jamie Chadwick, and how his title hopes have started to fall away. If he can dig deep and somehow come good in the last 2 races, he's not out of the hunt yet for it, but it's going to be a real test of him mentally. Patrick Pasma, though, is heading for win number 2 of the weekend and his 3rd of the championship as he comes into turn number 11. He will go right and over the brow to turn 12 and then up towards the checkered flag. Michelangelo Amendola is going with him as they come now up towards the final corner. And is Patrick Pasma going to be able to hang on for the run to the flag? The answer is yes. Checkered flags wave. Patrick Pasma wins. Michelangelo Amendola is 2nd, 0.357 of a second behind him as they come across the line. Linus Lundqvist is 3rd. Andreas Essner 4th ahead of Jamie Chadwick. Jack Doohan and Max Deforny in 7th. 8th is Dylan Young. 9th Valdemar Eriksson. And 10th should be Glenn van Berlo. He goes across the line to round out the top 10. But a very good drive again by Patrick Pasma. Didn't put a wheel wrong in that race to come through and score race honours. The winning margin 0.357 of a second, and provisionally it's now 5 points. The advantage will be between Chadwick and Deforny with 2 more races to go. Patrick Pasma, the race victor, and another very impressive drive. So the Finn, who is 18 years of age, very rapid karter in Finnish and North European Zone Championships in 2011. Started off in the Formula Ford Junior Championship in Finland, also came to the UK at the end of 2016, did the Walter Hayes Trophy and the Formula Ford Festival. Runner-up in the Formula Ford Marcel Albers Memorial Trophy, and then had a season in British F4 in 2017. He drove for Carlin, and then last year drove for the Arden Motorsports team and was sixth with a couple of race wins. So Michelangelo Amendola has got past Pasma on the in-lap. Maybe, didn't see the flag, but the race definitely over. And Michelangelo Amendola, another 2nd place, but another win for Patrick Pasma. And there Max Deforny gets past Jack Doohan, but it's all too late. Amendola sees the flag, comes into the pit lane, but Patrick Pasma it is, as the race winner, who will get the accolades after another very impressive drive indeed here. So 2 more races still to go in the MRF Challenge here at the Madras Motor Race track. Patrick Pasma, the winner of race 3, by 0.357 of a second from Michelangelo Amendola. Linus Lundqvist 3rd from Andreas Essner, and Jamie Chadwick taking 5th place. So there the mechanics help with the steering wheel that comes off. Out hops Patrick Pasma. This final round of the MRF Challenge, which has taken the place here of the old Madras Grand Prix that used to run 4 Formula 3 cars, but it was increasingly difficult after the Macau Grand Prix and before the European season started to get the cars over here and back again in time. So the organisers had a think and came up with this Winter Championship with cars run by one team, and the MRF Challenge has been a huge hit. So Michelangelo Amendola out of the car, goes to say well done to Linus Lundqvist with his Sunoco and Daytona badges, his prize drive from his success within the national UK racing scene last year. So-so on that race, but it's 3rd place, it's a podium. And let's go and hear from our top 3 drivers. Louise is down in the pit lane.
I'm with the winner, Patrick Pasma. That was a good race for you. Difficult?
Yeah, really. Again, it was really long race. We had the safety car, and but yeah, we managed to get the same result we got yesterday in race 1. So yeah, I'm happy.
Did you feel like you had to do it all again once the safety car came out and then the green flag?
Well, not really. The start was already done, and so yeah, I think, yeah.
Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. I will make my way down Parc Fermé area to see if I can find. I'm going to go to Linus Lundqvist because Michelangelo's being interviewed at the moment. So Linus, great to get that podium point. Difficult and hard work.
Yeah, like I said just in the beginning of the race, I think the start was the key point. I think us in the top 3, maybe even top 4, was quite equal with pace. So I think got decided in the start, and yeah, I really need to get a hold of those starts. It's starting to be embarrassing now, 3rd in a row.
Yeah, but you're putting fast laps in.
Yeah, not the fastest though. That was the target. I know that I think we were lacking like 1/10 because that decides pole position in race 5. So I was trying to leave a gap a couple of times and then just go for it. And yeah, we just fell short. But I'm not sure if we're 2nd or 3rd. But you know, it's all right. Good to be on the podium. Let's try to do 2 more tomorrow. Well, later today.
Okay, thanks very much. And Michelangelo Amendola. Another podium for you. This is a good weekend so far.
Yeah, it's not bad. In this race, we had the pace to actually win, but fortunately we couldn't pass because we had in the slipstream and track is a bit small. So, but anyways, I pushed. I did everything I could. So, let's see for the next race, maybe a win.
Maybe get onto that top spot.
Yeah, of course we're trying. We're doing the best we can. So, yeah, of course. Let's see.
All right, thanks very much. Well, David, it's back to you.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it, to see how drivers develop over the weekend, and also fascinating to see how the championship is panning out here with Jamie Chadwick now with this slightly increased margin over Max Stefani, who I don't think will have very much to say at all after another disappointing result. Losing points in race 1 was sort of acceptable because he kept his lead in the championship, but having lost the lead of the championship yesterday and now losing further ground, this is a big concern. But Jamie Chadwick could be, as I say, a history maker to win the MRF Challenge. We'll find out by the end of the afternoon. 2 more races to go. So as Aaron Mammon talks to the Madras Motorsports Club officials, gets ready for the podium. That will be underway very shortly. The championship's coordinator, Prabha Shankar, will be ready to make the introductions for the drivers.
These two really tried to outdo each other. They came into the...
And the MRF Challenge continuing to go from strength to strength. Every year, more and more drivers take notice of it, and we look forward to seeing how this year's championship shakes out. So the podium is being made ready. And in a moment or two, things should be underway. There's Linus Lundqvist in the background getting ready. Through the shot walks Patrick Pasma. Splendid in his Arden overalls from his season in British F4. So they're the Scandinavians, and the Belgian driver Michelangelo Amendola goes and puts his crash helmet out of harm's way and will, in a moment, be called to the podium.
Good morning, Vanakkam Chennai, Namaste, welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. It's a long way down from the city. You are here on the 10th of February for round 3, the climax round of the International MRF Challenge. And we are ready to give away the honors for the first race of the day. All of you enjoyed the race? Did you enjoy the race? We're opening up. Okay, thank you. To do away the honors now, can I request the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of MRF Tires Limited, the people bringing you the MRF Challenge, Mr. Arun Mammon. Okay, time to call upon, in a tough race, the 3rd place winner, Linus Lundqvist from Sweden. Congratulations. And in 2nd place, what's a very familiar name in Chennai, from Belgium, this little young boy, Michelangelo Amendola. Well done. And another man from Finland who's making it a habit, Mr. Patrick Pasma, the winner of this race. Okay, can we have the trophies? Yeah, the third place up here, please. Mr. Arun Maman will give it away to Linus Lundqvist. Yeah, come on, thank you for the applause. These guys fight hard on the track. And second place to Michelangelo Amendola. And the very tired and very hot winner, Patrick Pasma. A big round of applause. And a nice photograph.
So the drivers on the podium, Patrick Pasma for the second time this weekend on the top step. And as they make their way from the podium, 2 more races still to come this weekend. But a great drive by Patrick Pasma, and we will look forward to seeing what happens later on in the day in terms of not just the race results and the action, but also how that's going to play out for the championship. So the first of the 2 remaining races for these cars comes after the lunch break, and then they round out the day. Let's have a look, though, at the highlights of that third race of the weekend. A good start made by Patrick Pasma, who blasted away and turned his way into turn 1 with an advantage already. Max Deforney lost out off the line, fought his way up on the opening lap, but then later in the race made a mistake and fell back by 1 place rather than attacking. Deforney was pushing hard early on as best he could to try and close on Jamie Chadwick, but the gap wasn't really for coming down. And then after the safety car period caused by Josh Mason going off the road, rather than attack, he did this, ran wide, and Jack Doohan got up the inside and flashed through Deforney, oh so frustrated as he knew that he was about to lose not only a place but another couple of points in that championship battle. Up front though, Patrick Pasma led all the way. There was just no stopping him. Michelangelo Amendola fought back right at the very end, but again he just couldn't get close enough, and so Patrick Pasma takes a second win of the weekend, a third of the championship season, after another very lively round of the MRF Challenge for these 2-litre cars. Patrick Pasma, the winner here at the Madras Motor Race track. Great result, and we look forward to more to come later in the day. For now, from Louise Beckett and David Addison, goodbye.